going to move on and discuss WWE and TNA joining forces and establishing an official partnership. I think it's dope. I think it's a big deal, really, and it's just another good sign for the future and an exciting time to be alive, right? But an exciting moment in WWE and TNA and wrestling history because who would have thought 3 years ago even this shit would have been happening? So shout out to everyone involved and shout out to WWE and Triple H. He said that he was open for business, right? And he was ready to play the game, and no pun intended. And he's putting his money where his mouth is. I'm gonna share the screen here with you guys. So you should be able to see it now. This is straight from the TNA website, and I will say, because I had to make sure my mute button wasn't on. Um, I love their website. I love their website. It's super easy to navigate. I love the tabs that they have at the top. I love how they have a link to support Chris Bay. Shout out to Chris Bay. And I love the speaker that you can hit. I don't know if I'll get a copyright thing. I know it's crazy as that sounds, but it's a little TNA chant. I paused so I could see if I could hear it, and I never clicked it before. It's pretty dope. But back to the official matter at hand. And this is the official press release, which is dope as well. And who would have thought we would have ever seen that as an official thing and not just something that us fans, merged and cropped together, right? A WWE logo and a TNA logo side by side. Fucking wild times. I wonder what Vince McMahon would think of this. Ugh, not that I really care, but just in the sense that God, like he was like you would have thought that, and he made you think and wanted you to think that wrestling was just solely WWE, and it's just amazing to see how much progression we've gotten with this new regime in such a short amount of time, and it just makes you so excited for the future. So I'll save all that for a different pod and when I'm not sounding so disgusting. But WWE and TNA Wrestling announced a multi-year partnership. NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars to appear across weekly WWE and TNA programming, WWE premium live events, and TNA pay-per-views. Because, of course, TNA is still doing pay-per-views individually. It goes on. Of course, this was announced officially on January 16th, 2025. WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings, and TNA Wrestling, one of the world's top wrestling brands, and a subsidiary of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, today announced a multi-year partnership aimed at creating unprecedented crossover opportunities within WWE and TNA programming for NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars. It's interesting they didn't say superstars. I shout out to TNA for that too. I love that. Not conforming to the superstar thing yet, maybe. The agreement will enable talent to garner additional exposure across WWE and TNA programming, across key WWE and TNA programming, including weekly flagship shows such as NXT, which airs live on the CW, and TNA Impact, select WWE premium live events, and TNA pay-per-views, in turn bolstering their in-ring development with exposure to world-class talent and coaching. Quote, this historic relationship demonstrates the collaboration and competition do not have to be mutually exclusive, end quote, said Ariel Schnurr, Senior Vice President and Content Distribution for TNA Wrestling and Anthem Sports and Entertainment. Our partnership allows the TNA Wrestling brand and its incredible athletes to reach a significantly wider audience while giving WWE and NXT stars an opportunity to cross the line. That used to be their slogan. Maybe it still is their slogan. Definitely used to be their slogan. And gain valuable experience as they join forces with one of the most talented rosters in professional wrestling today. The response to our collaboration over the past year has been tremendous, and both companies have benefited, but the fans have reaped the greatest rewards from this talent crossover and working relationship. End quote. Does continue to say, quote, we look forward, this is from my guy. Quote, we look forward to growing and evolving our partnership with TNA Wrestling and its outstanding group of athletes by creating new opportunities to further to further the development of our talent and to elevate the viewer experience at home, end quote. Said WWE Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative, Shawn Michaels. I'm going to peg that. Don't forget about Shawn. Bring him back up here in a moment. Former TNA Knockouts world champion Jordan Grace and Joe Henry frequently appeared on NXT programming in 2024, highlighted by an NXT Championship match featuring Hendry and Ethan Page at No Mercy, and an NXT Women's Championship match featuring Grace and Roxanne Perez at Battleground, which is a great match. Many NXT superstars also crossed the line, again, there we go, into TNA wrestling, including Wesley's short-lived reunion with the Rascals, Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew, Riley Osborne, Dante Chen, Gallus, Ariana Grace, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dame, Wendy Chu, Brinley Reese, and more. TNA Impact airs on Access TV and TNA Plus in the US, in addition to being distributed internationally on TNA Plus and other leading broadcast platforms, including Sportsnet 360 across Canada. In November 2023, WWE and the CW announced a 5-year agreement to bring NXT to broadcast television for the first time in its 13-year history. And then it goes on to just explain about WWE and about TNA, which we all know at this point. But I think it's great. Not only do I think it's great, I think it's fucking fantastic. And I'm gonna share my screen one more time on a different tab. And I told you to peg that. I'm not gonna say that, it sounds weird. But I told you to not forget the name of Shawn Michaels, right? And leave that on the board. This is the official logo for TNA Genesis coming up this Sunday. But of course, big deal. First things first, right? First thing that we notice, obviously, is the NXT logo. You know, if you're watching here on YouTube, you can see it, which is this Sunday. But more importantly, if you were not aware, it airs in Dallas, Texas. And who lives in Texas? Of course, he doesn't live in Dallas. Of course, he lives in San Antonio. None other than my guy Shawn Michaels, who, of course, and conveniently and makes sense, right, had a quote in that press release, which he is the face and the figurehead of TNA, of NXT. So that would make sense that he would have a statement to provide. But I just think it's almost too good to pass up to not have Shawn Michaels show up at TNA Genesis, especially with them being in Texas. That being the main thing, right? And just to kind of do a Triple H thing and not just come out solely, right? Because you don't want the perception now to be that WWE, like NXT, is taking over TNA, and you don't want NXT to be the focal point, and you don't want NXT talent to continuously go over. You don't want it to be one-sided. And if it becomes that, then definitely get on here and talk shit about it, right? But I don't have that feeling. I don't think you go to this extent to make an official partnership just to shit on your partner, right? So I think if they did have the mindset of just kind of absorbing TNA, like maybe they being WWE would have done in the past, and just taking over the company and kind of just morphing them into a playlist in a part of the WWE network, wherever you stream that. So, or maybe even on Netflix, Peacock, wherever you stream the WWE network at this point, right? You could have just had like a TNA section. And I'm so happy that didn't happen, right? I'm so happy it didn't even get to be. And of course, I'm not getting crazy, right? Like there was no indication of a sell or anything like that. That's obviously what would have needed to happen for that to be a thing. But you've just seen in the past where if WWE even references a previous company or a separate company rather, then they shit on them, or their talent always goes over and they're always, the end all be all type thing. And I'm happy that that doesn't seem to be the vibe at this point. At this point, rather, and with this partnership, I think it's a big deal that it's an official partnership first and foremost, and I think it's a big deal that they kind of were testing the waters last year, and we're kind of seeing like, okay, like, can we both play ball, and what does that look like? And I think it benefited both sides greatly. I would say, um going forward, I want, again, TNA talent to be a little bit more prominent, right? And get a better spotlight, and be shown a little bit better. And for that matter, I want more bigger names from NXT to go over to the TNA side as well. So I think that's a quick improvement that can be had, and I think that's going to be a thing, right? I think now that it's official, and again, an official partnership, I think you will have give and take on both sides, and it's going to be a more mutual thing and a positive thing going forward. And I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that WWE is playing ball. And I think, guys, within the next 2 to 5 years, it wouldn't be crazy if WWE and AEW did some type of forbidden door, or not going to say partnership, but some type of interaction. So save this, guys. Bookmark this. And in January, was it January 19th, 2025? We'll see if that prediction ever comes true. But I just thought it was very interesting. And again, this is their kind of hype video for the TNA pay per view Genesis this Sunday. I'm not going to play it because of, I don't know, copyright things. But again, the fact that it's in Texas and this announcement was just made, I think it's almost too good to pass up without bringing good old Shawn, right? Having Shawn Michaels come into play.